I do have a lot to say, and chances are, if you are listening to this, you probably do too. Let me start first by certifying that we don't need to be greenlit to say whatever we gotta say ever. And the institutionalized notion that you always need to be called upon or given permission to say what you got to say is not gonna fly here in this space. I'm Ivan, and welcome to Ivan's In Between space, where you can become and be your most leveled up twin, and you can co create this space with me. This is the space where we listen to ourselves. We say whatever we got to say. And we don't need any permission for that. We don't need to be called upon, whether it's in an academic setting, whether it's at home, whether it's in a professional setting. So, I am a researcher, writer, and a creative guide who has lived across Europe and Asia. I have done a lot of research. I have been trained in the field of the humanities, trained into untangling the multiplicity of narratives we have been told and we keep telling ourselves each day and might not feel comfortable by. And now I help people translate the abstract into the alive because our life doesn't need only structure, it needs soul. Our life doesn't need a structure imposed by someone else that you follow. Our life needs soul. My research and thesis projects did focus a lot on liminality, which is sort of a recent critical lens that people have started using. And by recent, I mean past century. Time is relative, but still, I have done a lot of research and I have experienced it for myself. I have been living in the in between for years, going back and forth between countries, making new friends, starting new life every year, basically relocating constantly, all for the sake of my education, in both my bachelor and master's programs. And both from research and experience, I can definitely with confidence say I know what it feels like to live in the in between. But let me tell you, it's a transformative space and it's a space that is very valuable. You will feel on the extreme a lot of the times, and this is how you know you are entering a new era, a new portal, how you're transforming, how you're not staying stagnant at the same place mentally, not just physically. And what I'm here to talk about is, this in between space. We're opening it up, we're channeling our energy into this transformation. And I have a lot to say. And I will be talking. Now, let's backtrack a little and talk about how liminality is an in between space, where you're on the verge of something, you know something's happening, you see it happening, you feel far different from before, you feel like you may be falling, you may be feeling like you're lost, you don't know where the path is actually leading you to. And I'm here to tell you that this actually means you're on the verge of something new mindset, new reality, all of it. But you need the in between and that feeling of complete lack of comfort, discomfort, which you need to feel and go through to be able to go into the other side after you've shedded whatever it needs to be shed. Now, let's talk about feeling on the extreme, and let me talk about how I have been feeling on the extreme and that feeling of in between comes from the fact that you might feel extreme, but you do not allow yourself to crash out like on the extreme. But also you're not allowing yourself like to completely shut up and like be silent, you know? And I have been tired of feeling on the extreme with my actions of just, completely rethinking and reevaluating my relationships with everyone, but also feeling guilt as well that just for the sake of time spent well together for the past, and especially when it's been years. What I found from my cultural shocks across multiple countries and settling there is that you might grow, constantly walk on the verge of that in between, keep evolving, etc. But the long term relationships, you will constantly have to unlearn, especially those that you hold from before you went through um, significant change in your mentality, reality, whatsoever. Because what I found is that people will keep trying to put you in the box they have kind of tried and put you from before, especially those you know from a past, from the distant past. They're gonna always try to pull you back on the lane they think they knew you in. They're gonna try and make you tone it down just for their sake, just for their own comfort, not out of care for what you actually need and are. And it's a constant battle of unlearning every single day how you choose to interact with those people, how you choose to set new boundaries, and how you choose to act. And like painful truth is people will not like that. And that's okay. That's okay. And I'm here to say that there are billions and billions of other people. And I've done it multiple times. I've relocated multiple times. Every single time I've met even better people when, you're brave enough to know your limits and just lose contact with the ones that have been not giving you what you need. Even if there weren't any fights, even if there wasn't anything too extreme, whatever, I have been tired of feeling guilty about needing something completely big and total disrespect to be, with clear conscience. Oh, then it's okay now to end this relationship and communication line. No, no, no. I have proved to myself that you don't need to settle, you don't need to wait, you don't need to wait for the complete disrespect or whatever, which might not come. To be certain, check the feelings and energies you are sensing, the negative energies, jealousy, whatever it might be from other people, and that being enough for you to call it quits and save your energy. So, from, I've lived across the Netherlands, I've lived across South Korea, and then I kept coming back, and then going back and forth for my education phases. And every single time, like, I'm even surprised at it, and I don't, like, I do realize that shouldn't be surprising when you keep asking for more and acting like it and aligning with whatever you want mentally, aligning your actions with that. Every single time I met even better people, and Currently, I'm the happiest I have ever been with the people I have around me, with how people treat me, with the connections I've made. And it's actually, like, I want to talk about this. It's actually mind blowing and boggling as well. How now, in retrospect, you can think of all those. I'm talking about friendships here mainly, but it can be applied to anything. Notes, my thesis have also been on friendship, so I can say I've done quite my research. I've had quite an experience, so I can confidently say I can critically talk about that, and I have enough credentials for myself to be able to talk about it. Um, this is also another thing. I'm kind of switching between topics, but what I also wanted to say is, again, you I really want to underline this. You don't need a piece of paper, uh, certain someone to tell you, oh, you actually know this well, especially when it comes, to anything that is not called mathematics. I think you can state your opinion. You don't need anyone's validation to feel proper enough to be able to speak out about stuff, especially when a lot of the times quite many people that might be less qualified or less, having less credentials than you might still get a position that seemingly they aren't really like well suited to, just because someone else, like them. And that's it. The like, it's the like. I mean, on paper, now it might seem they're more qualified than you, but should you never speak about whatever you have been training, read on, studied in depth, just because some person liked another person better than you, and that's why they're in the position you were kind of eyeing on. I think we need to reevaluate how we see stuff and how we constantly put the validation into someone else's hands, and when they can only give it to a certain amount of people because they have the capacity to give it only to a certain amount of people and you're not one of them. What happens with that validation? Like, do you need that other person's opinion, or do you need the knowledge of having put the work in for whatever you have? So now, going back, and I kind of forgot to what I'm going back to about friendships, but let's try it. The wonder and amazement I feel at how completely disconnected and not in alignment I am with people that belong in my past and I have completely, removed. I am just amazed at how I kept finding better and better people, and now, I get what I always needed for years, and other people made me feel like I couldn't get because it was impossible. Because you might have been expecting too much when the only thing you might have been expecting is, like communication and just being there for each other whenever you need it and nothing else. And being there for each other, let's, you know, do the clarification. For me, doesn't mean, coming every single day. Like, and let me tell you, I'm not even that much of a demanding person when it comes to, communicating with someone constantly. But I have had the luck to actually experience broadening your horizons in a multiplicity of ways, however you can take it, and seeing so many people to be certain now in the knowledge that I always deeply had in myself that there are people that are for you and you will find them. And just because the person in front of you is making you feel like you can't get anything better because they don't have the capacity to give it to you, like that's bullshit. That's that's bollocks. Bollocks. That's bollocks. We need to collectively trust the process, trust the universe, trust there are better people that you are gonna get. And you don't need to give your energy to people that you deep down feel like cannot respect your time, cannot respect whatever it might be. And I am putting it out, I'm certifying it for myself that I rebuke any guilt and any need to justify or rationalize or excuse something that I really don't want to tolerate. This should be the daily affirmation for all of us. Um, and I'm gonna say it, you can say it with me. I choose to trust. Now, I hope this space, this is my corner on the internet. I hope everyone that's willing can join and help us co-create the space where we can speak and say whatever we want to and feel like we have to say. I know for myself, I started this by saying that I do have a lot to say, and I like looking back, I find it kind of pointless that I felt like I can be silent and just choose not to say stuff I had an opinion on or whatever. Because, why bother? I mean, let other people talk it out. Well, I'm gonna talk it out. And I don't need any setting where I should get a permission from someone or be called upon to build my own space. And you should and are free to do the same. Wherever you're listening, I hope you can like, subscribe, comment, leave a review, give a thumbs up, whatever it is, because it helps. It might help you as well. No, not it might, it will. You're getting a good karma for sending positive energy out into the universe. That's what I'm gonna do and am doing. If you liked whatever you heard and you have reached the end, I also offer one-on-one sessions. Whatever problem you might have, whatever you want to talk about and kind of dissect and solve, I can help you with that. And if you feel like I can, then this is your space. This is your invitation to meet and become your leveled up twin. All my links are in the description. Link to my website, link to my Instagram if you want to DM, share ideas, you can share them whatever you're watching as well. You can consider our consultation part research consultation, part spiritual recalibration, and part pep talk from your favorite scholar who knows some stuff about astrology as well. Thank you for watching and see you next. Bye guys.